All right. Thank you for joining my Hyrox Stations video. I am Coach Cala, owner of Calasthetics, just trying to help you, the viewer, my students, whoever, get moving. If you know anything about me, I'm giving out free fitness education content all the time. I'm a PE teacher, wrestling coach, lacrosse coach. And I'm 4 weeks away from the New York City Marathon. And I also just crushed my first ever Hyrox in Boston with my older brother. And for today's video, I'm going to rank I'm going to rank the 8 stations at the Hyrox that we went through. So I'm going to share my screen and try to. I just had some problems doing this, but I'm going to try to rank each station live, just off the top of the head, no context behind it. And if you've done a Hyrox before, put it in the chat and see which ones you like. And yeah, we'll share from there. All right. So it looks good on my phone. And let's see what happens when I share my screen. All right, sharing my screen. Right. Sharing my screen. Share screen. Type in the chat if you can see it. That would be great. No, I'm just trying to share the screen. Share. No, not that. Share screen. Perfect. All right. Should be good to go. All right. Got the tiers up. On my phone, it looks takes a few seconds to adapt. Let's see. All right, now I can see both screens. Let's go. And my Stella's here. My Corky. All right, gonna get started here. Gonna start off with my first station. Oh, no barking. Gonna start off with my the first station of the Hyrox. So after you run your 3 laps or 1 kilometer, you start off with the SkiErg. So I got the ski bigger. And my rankings for today are my favorite, awesome, mid, below mid, not fun. So running at first was tough. And then that followed by the SkiErg, which based off how hard it was, pause. Based off how hard it was not too hard, but running immediately after was not fun either. So, but I'm just gonna go based off of how I felt during it. During it, I'm gonna say it was pretty awesome, and I think most people wouldn't struggle with the SkiErg. I think the harder part is running immediately after. Let's see how that looks on the screen. Oh, good, it looks good there. All right, SkiErg, ranking number 2. So after you do the SkiErg, you run another lap or 1 kilometer, I should say, depending on where you are. It's 2 laps. I have no clue who's in the chat right now, so give me a second to look. Stella, you gotta stop barking. Ranking number 2. The next thing is the pole sled. Well, I think I might have missed the push sled. Oh no, it's right here. Push sled was number 2. Perfect, right here. So push sled. They had a practice station there, which was really cool, and it was really easy to use at first. Or sorry, not easy to use at first because the turf on the practice station was tougher, and then the turf on the real track was tough. So I'm pushing it as hard as I can, and I can only get like 10 steps. So I'm gonna say that one was mid for me. A lot of people seem to be blowing by me with that, which is no big deal. I'm not trying to compare, but yeah, pushing the sled was tough for me. That is something I need to practice. I got some muscles, but it was just not the best that day. All right, number 3 was the pole sled. So after you do the push sled, you go into the pole sled. This is where you got to pull it, and there's a technique to it because you cannot go outside of the box. There is a box that's probably about 3 feet long, 5 feet wide, and you cannot step behind it. So every time you pulled it, you can only take 1 or 2 steps. Then you would have to step back up again, pull it again, take 1 or 2 steps. If your foot goes outside of the line, it was a penalty, and there is no warnings. They just there's kind of a warning when you get close to the line, but when you step over it, they can just give you a penalty point, and 1 penalty is 7 points, which is bizarre. So I think the push sled was better than the pole sled for me personally. So I'm going to put pole sled below mid because I could only drag it a few feet. However, I think I could make it awesome for next time if I get better at that pulling motion, because I think I could definitely get better at that one. The pole sled, even with all that weight on it, I think it's really a shoe thing. I loved my Mizunos. I would highly recommend wearing Mizunos, but there's something about me pushing and my feet kept getting like too comfortable to the ground that it would just stop. It was crazy, like quicksand almost. After that, I believe we got right into the row. And the row I've been practicing all year, pretty much. Actually, since I worked at a fitness gym a few years ago. The row's been one of my favorite machines. Now, I've been practicing on 10. The levers was at 10 at Planet Fitness when I go there, and I just pull it like this. It was allowed to be at 6 to 7, 6, 7. And actually, it might have been up to 8. And you can adjust it. Some people actually had it lower than that, which was crazy. But I was probably just off the top of my head. We felt great running right after because it wasn't as hard. I'm going to put the row at my favorite. That was by far one of my favorites for that day. Going in next. So you got to think, you do all the rows and you could switch with your, like I got to switch with my brother. So if I did 500, he did 500, we would actually, and then, or you could do 1 minute straight and then switch, or 2 minutes straight, then switch, or we did 300 meters, then switch. And I had it under 2 minutes the whole time, which, you know, isn't too crazy, but 145 for 500 meters is pretty good, I would say. I'm sure other people are like doing sub 130, maybe even faster than that. But the fact that you can run after felt even better, which was really why I loved doing the row, because unlike the SkiErg where I felt a little bit gassed right after, or maybe we just started the run off too hot, the row, you just were able to get that stride, and it was just nice. Like there was none of the, like you just unclipped the shoes and you just ran. It wasn't as tiring. That definitely has to be one of the cool down stations for sure, like where you catch your breath while working on it. Because even if you do that one for 5 minutes and then you run a 2 or a 4 minute lap, you're still going to be fine. After that, I believe we had burpees. Look at these two shredded Hyrox people. Yeah, it's crazy. So I hurt my groin about a year ago in November, and I did one burpee at wrestling practice, and my friend and assistant coach probably can attest to this, my boy Andrew. I did one burpee where I tore it, even worse, and I was out. Couldn't coach wrestling, do anything for weeks. So I didn't do a burpee up until a week before the Hyrox, and I was doing high planks, doing that every day, shoulder workouts, core workouts, you know, anything to strengthen my lower body. And the burpees, honestly, were my favorite. Not my favorite, sorry. They were awesome. Now, the reason they're not my favorite is because when you start the burpee, there's a yellow line. And there's a judge there yelling at you. And, you know, with all the loud music, you can't really understand what they're saying. You have to do a burpee before you do a burpee, meaning your chest has to start on the yellow line before you do your first official one. So I'm actually doing one more burpee than we should. I thought that was crazy. I feel like when your feet get to the starting line, you jump, do a burpee. Jump, do a burpee. Then the other thing that was crazy, honestly, this one might be better at mid. Nah, it was easy enough because you could tag each other out. The other thing that was crazy is you can't even take one step. Not even, like, I understand 2 steps, but 1 step, I'm getting back up out of my form and just walking 1 step, just lifting 1 foot. They can penalize you on that. They did warn you, though, on that one. They were a little bit gracious and respectful towards that. I will say that was pretty cool. But the starting line is definitely the thing that makes it between my favorite and awesome. You should not start with a burpee. You should be able to put both feet behind the line, jump as far as you can, do a burpee. Because when you're just putting your chest on the floor, then jumping, I'm getting like 2 feet. And I already don't have any balance, so it was crazy. After that, I believe was the farmer's carry. Yes. So what you had to do was run 2 more laps after doing the burpees, which honestly, after doing the burpees, I was definitely a little bit gassed. I mean, who isn't after jumping like that? It's crazy. So the farmer's carry, I'm putting in my favorite. Now, we had to carry, I believe, 24 kilograms, so it was about 50 pounds in each hand. And before you get to the start line, you have to walk about 15 feet while holding a kettlebell. And you have 2 in each hand, or 1 in each hand, right? And they're much heavier than this. So you kind of start 10 feet before the starting line. They should be at the start line in just groups. You pick one up and walk. So that kind of slowed me down at first, but then I didn't realize it was only 2 laps, so that was my fault. I thought it was 4 laps, 2 laps each, but no. The second lap, I grabbed them and I ran 1.5 laps and gave my brother the kettlebells to finish the lap out. And I honestly think the kettlebells should be everyone's favorite because if you just, I was only practicing with 30-pound dumbbells at the gym, and because I didn't want to look too crazy running around with 40 and 50s, but I was just practicing with 30 pounds and I was just trying to walk for 3 to 4 minutes straight without dropping them, which does sound tough. But if you just get that little burst of energy and run, you can run as fast as you can, and all you have to do is put them down and the next person goes. So you're pretty much continuously running the whole time. So when you start your next 2 laps or next kilometer, it was pretty straight. I mean, it was easy. I cannot complain at all about the farmer's carry. I just wish the equipment was a little bit closer. I felt like we walked an extra 15 feet. I also wasn't sure which one was ours because they had all these different weights for different age groups, or not age groups, for different, like the elite group and then the open group. So I thought that was pretty crazy. But other than that, I think the kettlebells would be everyone's favorite. Definitely. Lunges. Now, this was another one where I was worried about my groin hurting during this. And I was only worried about the lunges going into this Hyrox for the last 6 months, or whenever we signed up. May. We signed up in May or June. And I was scared that I was going to hurt myself before the New York City Marathon, the tough. I was completely wrong. There is something about when you put the lunges or the sandbag over your shoulders on your trapezes back here, and you're just like, all right, I can do this. Now, the thing is, the back knee has to touch the floor, but you can take a step in between. So I'm going to give that one an awesome 2 because, giving that one an awesome 2 because the fact that you could take one step in between, unlike the burpees, made it better. I will say, though, the running after the lunges was pretty tough. Your legs are going to be beat up. The calves we're definitely feeling it a little bit, but I think having the lunges over your shoulders much easier than how I was practicing. I was practicing for about 6 weeks with lunges, not as hard as with the kettlebells or the other machines like the rower or my regular runs. But I will say that lunges by my side, when I was holding the dumbbells or the kettlebells by my side, was way harder, way harder. So I don't know what it is with the sandbags. It made it feel so easy. And 2 more rankings. So the wall balls. I'm a PE teacher. I thought this whole time I've been doing wall ball, dodgeball, basketballs, squat and throws just because it was going to be so easy. And I was wrong. I am definitely saying the wall balls were not fun. I had to tap into my middle school basketball days where I maybe made 1 or 2 shots a game, probably less than that, my dad would say. But I went 0 for 20 with my terrible jump shot form, trying to hit the X on the top board. Now, it's not that heavy, the ball. Biggest thing was the ball was sweaty. I don't know what happened. They gave us free towels, and next time I run, look at this sick towel first. Next time I run, I'm putting this in my pocket and cleaning down the ball because that is obnoxious that they cannot dry the ball up before you go onto doing this with the wall balls, right? And then like there's not really any detail on which lane you got to run into. Like there's a guy there, but somebody else was there at the same time of me, so we let them go, which was fine. Then there's the issue if you're not going down low enough in a squat, which I will go lower for sure. But like when you see other people performing the squats and you look like you're going lower than them and they're getting a free pass, I was like getting thrown off. And then I started thinking, am I not hitting the X or am I not going low enough on the squat? So I'm really not sure. Those first 20, I literally hit 1. And I'm not sure if it was because of the low squat or me missing the X. Now, I missed the X brutally 100 times. I threw the ball to the left of it, bounced on the other guy's court many times. I hit the floor 3 times. Definitely weren't supposed to do that. Got no penalties, thank goodness. Was able to switch out with my brother whenever. But there was something about those wall balls where I was just like, wow, why is this so hard? And it just was not fun. We got to the last station. And again, I think if I didn't run too fast in the beginning, we probably would have been there like 106, 105. We got there at 108, which was still 2 minutes off of my goal pace. I wanted to be done with the burpees, which was halfway at 31. 31, 32, 33. We got done with that 34 and a half. And by the time we got to the wall balls was 108. I went 0 for 20, pass him the rock at 111. He gets crushes like 30 in a row. I don't know how he did it. I get back in there. I think I hit 4. He crushes another 20. I get back in there. I hit 10. And we got done at 7 minutes. So we got done at 1:15:59 or whatever, 1:16. And then, the guy's not looking or whatever. That's the other issue with the wall ball. Like, they have to tell you to go. And we just ran, whatever. And we finished with a great time of 1:16:06, which was awesome. But yeah, the wall balls were definitely not fun. Definitely not fun. I have to start doing way more squats, and I need to start doing wall balls. I have to buy one of those targets because you have to hit the X. And the hardest part is that there is a smaller target for the women under it. And sometimes the ball hits that one. I'm like, oh, I think I hit it, and then I didn't. And like, you can't really debate it at all. And 100 wall balls is just a lot with a 6-kilogram bag. So that's what, 13.2 pounds. So it was a lot, I will say. Last but not least, the running. The running was my favorite. So I have to say, training for the New York City Marathon has got me in great running shape. Might not be the leanest, most jacked Hyrox guy there is, but I felt like I could compete with anybody with just how much I've been running. The first 3 laps we did go a little bit fast, but we were the second people in there, and I was slowing down to make sure I was pacing my brother a good amount. And I was like, I felt good at the end of it. The only time my legs really ever hurt, after the SkiErg, I felt like I had to catch my wind, but according to the stats, that was our second fastest lap. But the only time I felt like my calves were a little tight were after the lunges, or my hamstrings, I should say, not my calves. The running, if you are a runner, I highly suggest crushing a Hyrox. If you run and work out occasionally, definitely doing it. Not saying you will win or place, but you can definitely keep up. I think if we didn't go too fast in the beginning and I didn't go 0 for 20 with the wall balls, our goal would have been probably closer to 110, which would have been sick, which is relative to whatever. But if you are a runner, you should be able to compete in any Hyrox as long as you lift a few times a week too. But my cardio was through the roof. I felt fantastic. My brother and I didn't walk one time, which was literally the only goal. We didn't stop at one of the water stations, which honestly I think it was a good idea we didn't because there was everybody stopping there. But you should have more water stations, I would say, where you can just pass the cup to you and grab it like during a marathon. But I think the running is the easiest part. If you start off slower, great. The cool thing about the run is that there's people with arrows telling you which side to go onto. There's only one lane to stay in to go fast. So it's like on the highway, the left lane is the fast lane. That's what it was. I will say there was too many slow people in the left lane at one point, so get to the right. But other than that, I really thought the running was great. It was pretty cool. So that's my list. Again, we got my favorites. We got the row, kettlebell carries, running. Awesome. SkiErg. Felt awesome during the SkiErg. Burpees, lunges, mid, pushing the sled. I was so bad at that. Below mid, pulling the sled. And definitely not fun for me was the wall ball stations. Hope you liked this video. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. You all rock. I'm about to go live and do my Walktober video too on my treadmill over here. I'm going to have to plug in my phone for that one so I can get the whole treadmill and get my steps in. Goal is 10,000 steps. Appreciate you all being on here. Tell your friends to subscribe. Just trying to get all my viewers, students, supporters to get moving. Comment below what your stations are, or rankings of each Hyrox stations are for you. Get moving.